Thank you, Jenna, and good morning and happy 3rd of July. We're getting close here. Weather-wise here, though, we're looking at a very summer-like pattern. I think that's the bottom line for much of the upcoming week and probably a little bit longer than that. Looking actually pretty good forecast for tomorrow. Very 4th of July like, I would say. Uh, the past week, though, to no one's surprise here, certainly for much of the state, with the one exception of the far western upper was warmer than normal. That's the image on the left-hand side here. You can see, especially in the southern part of the state, our mean temperatures from 4 to 6 or even 7 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. On the right-hand side, our precip totals it was a very active weather week with an active storm track through the upper Midwest, especially for the Upper Peninsula and northern parts of the state. We also had some pretty significant precip across portions of, well, southwestern lower. You can see that there. On the right-hand side, though, the yellow areas here, just for some reference, that's 2 inches or better. But we had several days with very well widespread, significant heavy rain, especially across western upper Michigan, and that's a big deal because that many parts of that area have been very dry, and that's definitely no longer the case. You can see there's some cases we had more than 4 inches, and actually some flooding reported in that part of the state. So big changes there, and you can see again some extreme northern parts of lower Michigan, the far north near the bridge, where we had more than 2 inches, and then a few scattered spots down in the south. And that is certainly for the southern half of the state. Spotty and scattered is the operative term because again we had some spots with the blue here. You can see less than half an inch, some cases less than a quarter of an inch across the central lower. Then contrasting again to places like Kalamazoo where we picked up over 2 inches. So it really depended on exactly where you were. It wasn't nearly as widespread the rainfall there as it was further north. Soil moisture conditions here across the state vary widely. And this is as of the second, this is looking at the top 3 feet of the profile on a rain-fed system. And you can see, again, not too many changes other than the Upper Peninsula, where we've got a lot of greens and blues now indicating wetter than normal conditions. And again, given the amount of rain that they've had there over the past couple of weeks, that isn't a surprise. But in the south, we still have a fairly large area, the yellows and reds here, of drier than normal conditions, especially across east central. That's still the longest term dryness we have, especially in the Saginaw Valley and into portions of the Thumb that have been missed by well, a lot of rainfall during the last several weeks. But it's been better. We did have some rain there, fortunately, over the last week. That should help. But we still do have, again, looking at the spatial coverage here, areas from east central and central lower Michigan down into southwestern lower Michigan that are still drier than is typically the case for this time of the year. We'll continue to watch that or keep an eye on that here as time goes on. Our degree day totals here, because of our temperature departures, now at base 50, these are totals from the beginning of March. So it's looking again at our well, seasonal accumulations. They range from about 500 in upper Michigan to now almost 1,200 in the far southern part of the state. And on the right-hand side here, these are departures from normal expressed in the base 50 degree days. And you can see much of the state either really close to the climatological averages, and that's where we see the tan, to a little bit behind with a little bit of a deficit. But given where we've been and given where our forecast is, again, I think we'll see gradual changes in this and probably start to see some red indicating some surpluses once again here as the next couple weeks unfold. On the weather map here this morning, a really nice start to the day. On the left-hand side here, you can see generally fair conditions across the state. There are a couple of isolated showers and sprinkles that are here and there. You can see the little green there, but very limited. and probably just a few sprinkles where that's occurring. But temperatures generally ranging from the upper 40s in the far north, so a cool start there, to the 60s in the south. And as Chris said, if you could, it'd be a really nice day to be out at the lake or watch a cup of coffee, watching the sun coming up. Beautiful conditions out there for most of the state. We did see some scattered shower and thunderstorm activity late yesterday afternoon and night. That's on the right-hand side here. These totals were not reflected in the image that I showed before, but I just wanted to show that there were a few areas here, especially across east central Michigan, which again was one of the drier parts of the state or driest parts of the state, also down into southwest. And those areas, the green there is a half an inch or better. So we did get some spots that picked up significant rain just last night, but that was definitely the exception rather than the rule. And you can see much of the, well, interior parts of the state and the southeastern part of the state remain dry. And as we move here today, tomorrow, and Saturday, we're looking at the development of a big upper air ridge across the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes region. A very weak frontal boundary is still across the state. We've seemed to have had one version of that frontal boundary or another here for the much of the last 1 to 2 weeks. There's not a lot of contrast both sides in terms of temperature, maybe a little bit in terms of humidity, but just not much of a change. That's going to be with us at least for again for the next several days as well. And there will be a chance here later today of some isolated showers or thunder showers in some parts of the state, but vast majority of you will remain dry and with warmer conditions today. We will be for high temperatures today, mostly into the mid and upper 80s. And for the 4th of July, I'll show you that forecast here real quick. Basically the same, but maybe a couple degrees warmer. Saturday probably will be the warmest day. And what we really need to call it hot and humid when we're right under the middle of the upper ridge. And then by later in the weekend, by Sunday and Monday, we'll have another upper air trough move in from the northern plains and southern Canada, and that will bring the next significant chance for precipitation. I'll show you that here in just a moment on the map, but and a little bit cooler temperatures by next week. But for the foreseeable, the next few days, we're definitely looking at a very, very, very 4th of July, very, very summer-like type of forecast. And again, we'll call it hot, mostly fair and hot with just a couple. There'll be again, in a few spots, we'll probably see some convection come up, but it'll be really, really spotty. So great day especially tomorrow, to be out and take advantage. Again, especially if you've got a breeze. By tonight here, you can see that frontal boundaries is sag southward into the central lower peninsula again. Not much with it, just a few isolated showers or a thunder shower here tonight. By tomorrow morning, more of the same. This is basically almost a repeat of today and tomorrow, but a couple degrees warmer tomorrow, the 4th of July. And specifically for the 4th, for those of you who have activities planned, maximum temperatures tomorrow, that's on the left-hand side here. You can see generally in the upper 80s for much of the state. So we'll be looking at temperatures 5 to 10 degrees probably above normal. The right-hand side here, this is the chance or probability of precipitation for the state. And I mentioned I think the operative phrase or operative word is isolated. And you can see for western parts of the state, maybe about a 20% chance that we might see something pop up. But again, that's going to be definitely the exception. Most areas will be basically just fair, hot, and humid. It will be the dew point temperatures too. You will see notice an increase in humidity here both today and tomorrow, but especially on Saturday. Our dew point temperatures up probably into the upper 60s and low 70s. So it's going to be pretty uncomfortable. There could be possibly we might reach the heat advisory type of thresholds here. We'll see. Right now, maybe not. We'll be right near but it will be pretty uncomfortable, especially on Saturday. Saturday will be the warmest day of the upcoming week, and a little bit cooler on Sunday, and then noticeably cooler on Monday and Tuesday. Here's the map for back again to Saturday morning, and you can see that next weather system that I mentioned. That's really the next significant weather system of any mention approaching by Saturday. So we'll see by late Saturday, probably some showers and thunderstorms develop in western upper Michigan. and then slowly spread to the south and east during the day on Sunday and into early Monday. And for most of us, that will be the next chance for anything. But it's not looking like a widespread type of event, but maybe 40 or 50% chances. So we are in general looking at a drier than normal week coming up, warmer and drier than normal here for the next upcoming 7 days. One exception to that, and that would be once again, just like we saw last week, northern parts of the state, the Upper Peninsula. These are the weekly totals here through next Thursday morning, and you can see very little precipitation is expected across the southern half of lower Michigan, but up in the UP, you can see some areas probably picking up over an inch. Most of that, the vast majority of that would be with that system that comes through overnight Saturday and Sunday. Whereas it'll be much lighter than that going south into the lower peninsula. So big changes from north to south, or big differences expected with terms of precip. And for most of us, warmer and drier than normal for with the warmer than normal temperatures, look for elevated potential evapotranspiration rates in the upcoming week, actually fairly significantly above normal. Our daily averages here, especially again over the next few days when it's warmer, 1700s to 2300s. So climatologically, that's at least a few hundreds per day on average above what we typically see. So water demand over the upcoming week will be elevated or higher than normal. And that will begin to become more apparent, especially because we are also expecting for most areas drier than normal conditions as well. Moving out into the medium range, well, we've sort of flip-flopped and gone back and forth a couple times looking at our forecast guidance and in terms of confidence. And we've had a couple of episodes where there was less confidence because of big changes day to day. That's something you don't want to see. You want to see continuity in these forecasts. Well, we're back into that. We had recently the last week we had some good solid signals that indicated confidence and consistency. Well, we're back again to the less than confident type of scenario. The left-hand side here, this is a forecast jet stream pattern. You can see ridging out over the western part of the U.S. and a little bit of a weak trough over the far east. That puts Michigan essentially in mostly west to east or zonal flow for the time and normal to above normal mean temperatures. I'm not going to show the 8 to 14 day, but it's very similar to this. But so mean temperatures are with this pattern would be again near to above normal. The other message near to above normal precipitation totals. So probably more frequent than normal passage of weather systems. So we'll have that will pick up. And again, after a dry week, that could be important as we move into the middle part of July. But right now, and again, if we had the confidence expressed in these outlooks right now is probably unfortunately lower than normal. And remember, we last week we looked at the long leads. They're still all suggesting warmer than normal temperatures for much of July and actually much of the remainder of the growing season as well, at least on the long-term averages. So the warmer than normal is a continuing theme here. So wrapping up, very, very summer-like. It's almost well, I don't know if you want to call it a perfect 4th of July, but it's if there was ever a quintessential typical forecast, this is it. Hot, well, very warm. If some people use the 90-degree threshold as where you go from very warm to hot. We're going to be close to it, especially tomorrow, the 4th, and then on Saturday, the 5th. But it should be great to be outside. If you've got liquids and some shade and some breeze, it'll still be a great day to be outside. Good for the fireworks. There will be a couple showers around here and there, but they'll be isolated at best. And we will see our warmest weather here in the early weekend and then gradually cooling down by next week. And it's not going to be cool. I use the word cooling relative to where it's going to be this weekend. It will be, but we'll still be at or maybe just a little bit above normal even next week. So by the early to middle part of next week, probably looking at highs back down for most areas in the low 80s, pretty close to what the climatology says we should be at this point in time. And then you just saw the medium range here, even though there's a lot of or less confidence or certainty about this, it still suggests warmer or on the warmer and the wetter than normal side as well.